Hello everyone, this is Jason from MELC Australia, and today we are going to learn the format of the Pearson Test of English, which is also called the PTE Academic. So guys, I hope you like this video. This is going to be quick introduction towards the various parts of the test, and we will be looking at some dependencies as well. Okay, you may not see my photo at the moment, but it will be there soon. Okay, so starting with the test, remember it's a computer-based test, so this is fully done on a computer. There's no human intervention until or unless there is a problem in the test. So all the four modules, which is your speaking, writing, reading, and listening, will be done by a computer. They will be recorded on the computer as well. So make sure that you make yourself familiar with the keyboards and headsets as well, because that's what the computer is going to be about. And I would recommend practicing on a desktop rather than a laptop, because the exam is going to be on desktop computer with a separate keyboard or a mouse and a big screen. So you can also use your laptop along with a separate keyboard and a mouse. Okay, so starting with the test. So as I said, it's a fully computer-based test, so keep this in mind. Secondly, it's going to be 2 to 2.5 hours of test in total. Okay, and there's no human intervention, and your results are usually available between 1 to 5 business days if nothing goes wrong. Okay, now the very first part is called speaking. Before that, remember, this is an interdependent test, PTE, which means the speaking module, it affects your reading module score, and speaking affects your listening module score. We will go in detail in the next video how it affects it. Also, your listening affects your writing to a great extent. There is a bit of a connection between reading and writing as well, but that's not much to worry about. However, we will definitely cover it in the coming videos. Okay, so keep this in mind. Speaking affects your reading score and listening score to a great extent. So starting with the speaking part, so the very first question, it is an unmarked question. It's not marked, so it's introduction. You must do it. It's a 40 seconds video, 40 seconds question, sorry. And people say that it's not important, but what we have seen over so many years is that doing an introduction, that too fluently and clearly, is very good. It helps you. So remember, as I just said, speaking is about 2 to 3 things. Number one is fluency, and second is your pronunciation. Fluency means you must speak without pauses. You must not be robotic. You must speak continuously without pauses. And P stands for pronunciation, means your accent. You should have a accent neutral voice, means you should not have mother tongue influence. Okay, you don't have to be a native speaker to do this exam. So introduction, you have to speak for 40 seconds. You must talk about yourself, who you are, where are you from, what are your interests. There are specific questions given by PT. We'll cover them later. The next question after introduction is read aloud. Read aloud is a question in which you have 25 seconds to understand a text, and then you have to speak loudly for 40 seconds. Just, I'm going to put in a bracket here that read aloud affects your reading score. Keep this in mind. Moving on to the next question, repeat sentence. In this, you listen to a sentence and then you have to repeat it as much as you can. And you only get 3 seconds to prepare. Means once you hear the recording, there is a pause of 3 seconds and then you have to speak. And you should speak as much as you can. And this is one of the most important questions of the whole PT test. And this affects your listening score. The next question is describe image. Describe image, you get 25 seconds to look at an image, and then you have to speak for 40 seconds. You must speak for 40 seconds. That's what PTE Academic guideline, the marking guideline says. However, even if you speak for 30 seconds or 35 seconds, that's more than enough. And again, you must keep in mind throughout your speaking, you must be fluent and you must have good pronunciation. And describe image doesn't really affect any other module. However, it does have an impact on the vocabulary and grammar that you use, which ultimately affects your writing part. We'll talk about later. Retell lecture. This question affects your listening part. You listen to a lecture, which is usually 60 to 90 seconds. It can be shorter as well. After the lecture finishes, you get 10 seconds of preparation time, and then you must speak for 40 seconds about what you have heard. You can either speak the words of your own choice. You can have your own words, you can have your own template, or there are a lot of other ways to speak it. We will discuss them in detail later, of course. And but what is expected from you is that you will cover 50 to 70% of the lecture ideas if you're aiming for a higher band score, and 30 to 40% of the lecture ideas if you're aiming for 6.5. Okay, the last question of speaking is called answer short questions. Okay, this affects your listening score as well. This affects your listening score as well. So these are very general knowledge questions, very simple general knowledge questions. However, there are some tricks to help you do this, and there's always a list of questions which is expected in the exam, but I think most of you will be able to do this yourself. Okay, so that's the speaking part, nice and easy. Now we move on to the writing part. Now writing, first task is called summarize written text. You can get 1 or 2 questions. However, in the past, you used to have 2 to 3 questions. It's a 30 to 40 minutes task in total. Writing and speaking is around 30 to 35 minutes. So summarize written text. You are supposed to summarize. There is usually a big paragraph in front of you, or it can be multiple paragraphs looking as one passage. Right, so it can be a passage, it can be a big passage without any separate paragraphs like this, or it can either be multiple paragraphs like this. Okay, so what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to summarize this whole thing into one particular sentence. One sentence means it has only one full stop, and the word limit is 5 to 75 words, and you get 10 minutes for this task. You must finish this in 10 minutes. Let's say if you finish it in 5 minutes, you're not going to get extra time in the next question. So take your time, don't rush, proofread your answer before you type, before you press next, and you should be easily getting marks in this question if you know the right if you have the right guidance and you know the right techniques. Second question is called an essay. You write an essay. This is more of like a composition. Most of you have written in your school, in your college. If you have done assignments, you get 1 or 2 questions. You're supposed to write 200 to 300 words in 20 minutes. So that's where it becomes a bit challenging, because you have only 20 minutes to write. Therefore, you must be very familiar with the keyboard, the external separate keyboard, not the laptop. So essay, there are multiple ways of doing it, multiple techniques. We will definitely discuss them in the next videos. Moving on to, so there is no break between speaking and writing, so you need to remember that as soon as the speaking finishes, the writing will start. So you'll have to remember that if you have reached answer short questions, the next questions are going to be from writing, so don't get confused. Okay, now moving on to the part 2 of the exam. It is reading, 16 to 17 questions, 32 to 34 minutes. So basically one question you have, for each question you have 2 minutes. Okay, for each question you have 2 minutes. Keep this in mind, quite helpful. Multiple choice, single answer, multiple choice, multiple answer. You get 2 questions. However, there is a possibility that you may get only 1. So you may get 1 or 2 questions of each. Reorder paragraphs, you usually get 2, can be 3 of those questions as well. Fill in the blanks, it can be 4 to 6. So don't worry, this is what the number is, minimum. They will have minimum 4, maximum 6 questions. In terms of importance, fill in the blanks, reorders are more important than multiple choice questions. You are familiar with multiple choice questions from your school. You are familiar with fill in the blanks as well, some of you, maybe not. But overall, these 3 questions are more challenging, and they're more important than the first 2. So you can see from the marks point of view as well. So these 3 questions are more important as they carry more marks. Okay, so that's pretty much the reading part. Now, if we go on to the next, which is the listening, which is the last section of listening. Again, there's no break. There used to be a break, but then they sort of got rid of it. Now, moving on to the listening part, we have the very first question is summarize spoken text. Just so you know, there is a lot of similarity between this question, summarize spoken text, and retell lecture. In retell lecture, you listen to a lecture and then you speak for 40 seconds. However, in summarize spoken text, you listen to a lecture and then you write a summary of 50 to 70 words. So this affects your writing score. So remember, summarize spoken text affects your writing score to a great extent. You can get 1 or 2 questions. So 10 marks for 1 question, 20 marks. So individually, marked and individually timed as well, 10 minutes. Very important question. It has got more impact on writing than listening itself. So we must practice this. Then we have multiple choice, multiple answer questions, 1 or 2 questions. And there is negative marking here, meaning if you choose something incorrect, you will get -1, but the minimum score you will get is 0, means you will never get less than 0. Means if the options are A, B, C, and D, and you choose B and C, when both are wrong, so let's say you get -1, -1. It's not that you will get -2 and it will go to the next question. The minimum you will get is 0. Okay, so keep this in mind. The minimum you get is a 0. You don't get less than 0. So negative marking does not affect the next question type. Fill in the blanks, very important question type again, because it checks your spelling, so it affects your writing score. You must practice this. As you can see, it is worth 10 marks as well. You will definitely get 2 questions. Highlight correct summary, 1 or 2 questions. Okay, you listen to a recording and then there are 3 to 4 options in front of you. You have to choose one correct option for this, out of this, and it can be 1 or 2 marks. Multiple choice single answer, again 1 or 2 marks. Select missing word, 1 or 2 marks. This is quite a different question. We will discuss this in detail when we do a detailed video for listening. And highlight incorrect words. So this is the third most important question type. It affects your reading score. Those who don't know, it's important. You will definitely get 2 questions, and it's worth 8 to 10 marks. Therefore, it's quite important, and there is negative marking for every incorrect answer. Okay, but minimum you will get is 0, so you'll never get minus for the getting to the next question. Okay, the last question type is write from dictation. Very, very, very important. So this affects your writing score as well, worth 30 to 40 marks. So if you make mistakes in write from dictation and listening, you will be affecting your score in writing. So listening affects your writing score to a great extent. So all those questions where I've put writing in the bracket, if you make mistakes in spellings, grammar, vocabulary, punctuation, that's going to affect your overall writing score. I think, guys, so just quick rehash: Pearson Test of English, PTE, computer-based test, 2 to 2.5 hours test. You can get your result in 1 to 5 business days. Interdependent test. Speaking affects the reading and listening modules. Listening affects the writing module majorly. Writing and reading affect each other, but not much. Speaking, it's mainly about your fluency, pronunciation, and content as well. Writing is about grammar, vocabulary, spellings, and ideas. Reading is your ability to do questions mainly based on vocabulary and grammar within short span of time management, because it's 2 minutes per question. And listening is a mix of ability to listen and write as well. Okay, guys, I hope this has helped you to understand the format of PTE. For any more questions, you can always send us a question in the comment box below. Thank you.